to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here on the west coast of Canada. I hope everybody is having a great start to their weekend and you're staying strong and healthy. Welcome, Jainiel. Hi, MA. I'm glad you're 100% full of energy. That's great to see. Students, in this class, we are looking at Task 2 writing. We're talking about how to write a Band 9 body paragraph and finish to an essay. This is a continuation from yesterday's members chat class. If you weren't here, that's okay. We will go through the introduction briefly so everybody will be on the same page. This lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS success, visit us there. And for general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. On both of our websites, we have lots and lots of materials, including help for the writing sections as well, including professional editing with native English university graduates. While we wait for a few more members to join in, this is our academic website here with the blue background. You can click this big red button here to join the premium package. It is a one-time payment for lifetime access, so it's well worth it. Hi Rahul, hi Rashika. This is our general IELTS website here. If you need help with Task 1 letter writing, this is the place to go for sure. Click this big red button to join the premium package. Of course, we are a certified British Council IELTS Registration Center and British Council agents. So we're here to help you pass your exam. It's definitely worth joining our premium course and making improvements. You can follow us on Instagram, IELTS_AHelp and GIELTSHelp. And you can buy our exam books from Amazon as well. If you have questions, Adrian at aehelp.com, send me an email. And again, a reminder to all of our awesome viewers and students that from next week, from May 5th, we will have a new live class schedule coming. It's going to be UTC or GMAT, 12:30 to 13:30 and 14 to 15 o'clock. That will be our new schedule from next week. Tomorrow, members, we will have a Q&A session, questions and answers. So make sure you're here for that. And any question you have about English, grammar, IELTS, ask me. And then we'll do a speaking part 2 with everybody as well. So lots going on. Welcome, Kuldeep. All right. So as many of you remember, this was the question in yesterday's Task 2 class that we started. You should spend about 40 minutes on this task. Some people argue that the overconsumption of meat has created many problems in the world. What are the reasons that some people eat too much meat? What can be done to solve this problem? Include examples and explanations from your own experience. So this is first person voice. So you got to speak with the first person voice here. And we discussed the topic, the controlling ideas. We got lots of good ideas about it. Maybe I'll go through just the questions to give you a refresher. So we started with this. What does it mean to overconsume meat? It means eating meat every single day. Okay, let's not forget about that. Why do people overconsume meat? People do it to consume more protein quickly or easily for satisfaction, the taste of meat. It's readily available, so we have butchers and meat in a lot of stores, and it's possibly cheaper than vegetable produce. It's become a part of culture, cultural norm. And how do people consume too much meat? It's added to a lot of dishes, meals, and eaten once or more each day. Well, what are the problems of eating too much meat? How does it affect health? It can lead to cardiovascular disease. It increases cholesterol in the body. It leads to high blood pressure, and it's stressful for the digestive system. Why has the production of quality meats become difficult? Well, there's a high demand for meat, so cheap farming methods are used to produce low quality meat. How has the overconsumption of meat affected the environment? Well, forests and land have been abused for the sake of meat farming. Large swaths of land and massive amounts of water are needed to produce meat. And what are the solutions to this problem? Governments and organizations have to advocate for lower consumption of meat by way of advertising and informing the public through film and social media. Strict government regulations on the consumption of meat, maybe creating a standard ration of meat per person per day, or that would probably not even make sense, per week, because we don't actually need to eat meat every day, right? Okay, and promoting other healthy alternatives to meat, other types of proteins, vegetable proteins. Let people know that they can live longer with a higher quality of life when they consume less meat. Okay. And how can people reduce the amount of meat that they eat? Well, they can create a diet plan, and they don't need to buy meat with every grocery trip or every visit to the grocery store. Okay, so we came up with a thesis and an introduction. This was my introduction here. Most people agree that in many parts of the world, meat is overconsumed. Eating more animal proteins than necessary has led to problems for not only people's health, but also for the environment, as meat is difficult to digest and produce. The major reasons for people, okay, I'm going to include the first person in my thesis because this thesis is asking for that first person opinion. It's saying include any examples from your own experience. So we want to make this essay first person voice. First person voice means that the author is speaking from their own subjective voice, okay? So all I need to do is just do this, I believe. And suddenly this essay is now a first person voice, okay? If it's asking me to give opinions from my own experience, then I'm going to do that. Hi, Rajveer. So I believe the major reasons for people over-consuming meat are culture and cost. The solutions include an increased awareness of negative health and decreased availability of meat produce. Okay, sure. So I went with culture and cost. I know yesterday a couple of you mentioned something different, but let's stick with these. We're going to have a 4-paragraph essay, so 2 body paragraphs. And the first one will be the reason people overconsume meat. So body 1 will be about reasons for consuming too much meat. According to my thesis point 1. So here now I need my topic sentence. It's called your topic sentence because it's the topic of your body paragraph 1. So the topic of my body paragraph 1 is that people eat too much meat because of cultural and financial reasons. Okay, let's try to work on that. So give me a topic sentence that gives more definition of the idea of culture and cost, okay? I'm going to do that as well, and then we'll compare. So nice and smoothly, members, okay? So have some good writing fluency here. Don't think too much about your grammar accuracy. Think about your content, okay? I will correct the grammar, and I'm going to do the same, okay? So okay, so I'm just going to start with this one. Maybe I can break the culture and cost into 2 parts. of my body paragraph. I think I'm going to do that this time. I could combine it into one. So I could write a sentence like this. All right. So I could do it like this, or I could split this into two parts. I will explain that a little bit more after. Okay. All right. So while I'm waiting for our members to put up their topic sentences, I will now read my topic sentence. So throughout modern history, the trend of eating meat on a regular basis has become a normal part of many cuisines around the world. So this sentence, this first sentence, is basically a deeper definition of this idea. The major reasons people overconsume meat are culture. Okay, so what do we mean by culture? Well, culture is the habit or the trend that is supported by a group of people. Now, fortunately, when it comes to talking about food, we can call that a cuisine, because you have national cuisines, like you have Indian cuisine, you have French cuisine, Italian cuisine with lasagna, spaghetti, and so on. And those are cuisines. So cultural food is in some ways defined as a cuisine. Cuisine, I believe that word comes from French, of course. It is an English word as well, because English is a mix of French and Germanic roots. Rajveer says, meat products are rich in calories and arguably cheaper than plant-based food items, and most individuals enjoy eating meat as part of their daily diet. Good, Rajveer, very nice. So you're doing a combination of cost and culture into your topic sentence as well. I also did a combination here, but I'm actually going to split it up in a second. So here I combined it. Furthermore, it is arguable that purchasing cheap meat is the most cost-effective way for many people to get lots of protein into their diets. Okay, and I might add the word daily. Why not? Just like Rajveer did, or as we did in our planning. Quantitative language is always good. Rashika says, people who are living in many parts of the world have been consuming meat for a long time, and the availability of these products are much cheaper compared to vegetables. Yeah, okay, good. So you're going into an explanation, Rashika, with the vegetables. You want to kind of separate the explanation from your topic sentence, Rashika. That's what I'm going to write next as well. In fact, I'm not going to write that next, but I will write that a little bit later, because I'm separating culture and cost. Okay. So here we go. Let's see what else we have. Okay, while we're looking at that, I'm going to actually write the example here. And this is why I like, if I have more than one point in one body paragraph, I like to kind of split them up, because then I can focus more on each point, and then I can combine them after. Okay, so here's my, sorry, not example, but my explanation for history. Okay. All right, so I'm going again into more and more details here. Welcome, Rudolph, to our group of members. Make sure you send me an email so I can hook you up with those exclusive videos. A big hi back at you. Rodolfo Alquizola, good to have you in the class. All right. So, most people agree that meat is delicious, and as such, it is no surprise that it has become a key ingredient in many dishes like beef stroganoff, pepperoni pizza, and bacon and eggs for breakfast, right? And I'm going to go with something else. Somebody give me okay, yeah, butter chicken. There we go. For all of our lovely viewers in India. Okay. All right. So here I have my topic sentence, my explanation, and I already included my example as well. So I'm going with a bit more fluency here, members, and please try to keep pace. So go ahead and write your explanations and examples as well. I know many of you know what you are doing. Okay. Rajveer is writing, since most individuals love the delicious taste of meat, it has become an imperative ingredient in many burgers and pizzas. Yeah, so just giving a couple of examples of where we find meat. I'm doing the same here, and that's not the personal example yet. So this is just an explanation. I'll show you why in just a second. So most people agree that meat is delicious, and as such, it is no surprise that it has become a key ingredient in many dishes, like beef stroganoff, which is a Russian dish, pepperoni pizza, which is an Italian dish, and butter chicken, which is a dish in India. So this explanation is supporting that it's become a normal part of many cuisines around the world. Does everybody see how the content is creating a strong link among the information? Is that clear so far, everyone? Hey, BitCloud, good to have you in the class as well. So everybody sees how with this explanation, I'm basically supporting this topic of it's become a normal part of many cuisines around the world. People go, yeah, okay, I can see that, right? No matter what type of restaurant you go to, a lot of the choices on the menu include some kind of meat. It could be fish, it could be chicken, it could be lamb, it could be beef, right? So that's right, Rajveer. There's a lot of logical linking through the content. And then for sure, me included, right? So I, myself, this type of writing where I go I, comma, myself, comma, I do that for emphasis, okay? When reading this, it's like I, myself, consume meat often, since it is an ingredient in many of the dishes my family and I prepare. So this is my example, right? It's a real-world example. It makes the reader think about their situation. Unless they're a vegetarian, they're going to be thinking the same. So they will go, yeah, me too, right? If I go to my parents' house, my cousin's house, and we have a big meal, in many cases, there's going to be some meat on the table. Okay, or in the restaurant, right? So here the example is quite simple, but it's very effective because it creates empathy, okay? And those are the most powerful types of examples. So I'm going to add that for you as a note today, members. I haven't said this one in the past, but certainly really, really important, okay? So the most powerful types of examples are those which create empathy for the reader. Okay? Does that make sense? So the most powerful type of, and that makes for great writing, of course. Instead of create, I'm going to use the word elicit a sense. Elicit means to draw out or to bring out. Okay? It's basically whereby the reader thinks, yeah, I do too. Okay, so something like that. Is that clear? Can I get some thumbs up there, members, if that's clear what I'm saying there? So when you want to think about creating a powerful band 9 level example or explanation, ask yourself, will my explanation and example, when the examiner reads it, will it get the examiner thinking, oh yeah, no, that's true. That's what happens. Like every time I go visit one of my friends or when we're having a bigger dinner or meal at home, there's always some meat in that dish, whatever type of cuisine we're eating, whether it's our local cuisine, our daily routine cuisine, or we're trying something different from other parts of the world. Okay, Janiel Rajveer, good, thanks. If it's not clear, tell me now, but definitely empathy. And even if you're using fairly simple sentences and fairly simple words, if you can create strong empathy with the examiner, you will get a good mark because there's no question that that's good writing. Okay? All right. So now I'm going to finish this paragraph. Because I mentioned cost, I definitely want to include a bit there. So furthermore, it is arguable that purchasing cheap meat is the most cost-effective way for many people to get lots of protein into their daily diets. These days, quality vegetables such as beans and avocado which are high in protein cost much more relatively much more than meat. I pay $10 or say $15 for 5 pounds of avocado, while 5 pounds of pork only costs around $6. Okay, so there again is my answer, explanation, and example. And again, I'm eliciting that empathy from my reader, where the reader can go, yeah, if I walk into the store and I look at some nice vegetables, oftentimes these days, depends on what part of the world you're in, but people go, whoa, really? One avocado costs $5? That's crazy. Okay, so here we go. Furthermore, it is arguable that purchasing cheap meat is the most cost-effective way for many people to get lots of protein into their daily diets. These days, quality vegetables such as beans and avocado, which are high in protein, cost relatively much more than meat. I pay $15 for 5 pounds of avocado, while 5 pounds of pork only costs me around $6. Okay? To the topic, okay? These lead to buying and eating. Okay, so when you're thinking about concluding and connecting your body paragraphs, always think about the main topic of the essay. So in this case, the main topic of the essay is overconsumption of meat, so eating too much meat. Okay, so when I connect and conclude this body paragraph, I think about that. So certainly these factors lead to buying and eating too much meat. Why? Because the whole time I'm keeping in mind my first point of my thesis. The major reasons for people over consuming meat are culture and cost. Okay, does that make sense? If at any time, members, you have a question, something's not clear, you want to ask me something about that, or about the way that I'm putting together these ideas or sentences, just ask me, okay? I'm looking at the chat at the same time. Rajveer, and of course, try yourself. So write these explanations, write these examples, okay? All right. Rajveer says, highly nutritious veggies are expensive, are more expensive than meat products, as beef costs just half of broccoli with the same number of calories. Yeah, very nice, Rajveer. So you're quantifying, right? Because sure, it looks like when you look at the size of a vegetable, you might think, oh, that's a bit cheaper than a piece of meat. But meat is dense, right? Vegetables aren't. You need to eat a lot of vegetables to equal one steak or one chicken, right? So, and that is a big reason of why people consume a lot of meat, is because it's a fast, quick way to get lots of food into your stomach to feel full. Right? With vegetables, you don't feel full. You eat a salad, 1 hour later, you need to eat another salad. You eat a chicken, you're going to be full for at least 3-4 hours, right? So everybody can empathize with that. Just make sure you quantify it. Don't expect that your reader will think the same way as you. They will know what you're talking about as long as you explain it to them, but they're not going to think about it if you do not explain it to them, okay? So don't miss information. All right, Rashika, you're on board. Okay. So on to the next body paragraph 2. So now body paragraph 2, no surprise, is going to deal with the thesis point 2, which is solutions to overconsumption of meat. Okay. And again, when you're doing this in the real exam, go back and look at your thesis point 2, okay? So make sure you review your thesis point so that you stay on topic. This is why it's a really good idea to write a direct thesis, okay? So the solutions include an increased awareness of negative health and decreased availability of meat produce. Now, some of you might be thinking, how is Adrian thinking of these ideas so fast? I'm not really. It's quite, I don't want to say easy, but it's simpler at this point because we have all that information from yesterday's planning that we reviewed at the beginning of this class. So we have a lot of ideas like increased awareness of negative health. We talked about cardiovascular disease, difficult for the digestive system, high in calories, okay? So we just need to take that information and now put it together into some nice cohesive sentences, right? All right, Emma says, therefore, due to the aforementioned reasons, people continue to consume meat in high quantities. Yeah, absolutely. Very good, Emma. So, Emma, that's your connecting, concluding sentence. Perfect. Okay, works really well. All right, so let's get into this topic sentence. And members, it doesn't matter which sentence you're writing. So one of you could be writing the topic sentence for body 1 right now still. That's totally fine. I'll read it, I'll make a correction, and then we'll jump back to the flow of the lesson. So fortunately, I have the ability that I can jump around between what I'm showing you, what I'm talking about, and what you're putting up in the chat. So no worries, just keep writing, keep practicing, okay? Yeah. MA, the word aforementioned is okay. Do be careful about referencing the location of information in an essay, okay? So I wouldn't write things like, as I wrote at the beginning of the essay. So don't do that. I'm not saying you do, but some students do. So be careful, okay? All right. Okay, so here we go with thesis point 2. Right. Interestingly, YouTube seems to have issues these days, but if let me know. YouTube's sending me a signal, something about video stream info. Anyway, here we go. So Body2 Solutions. All right. So all right, here we go. So in order to significantly decrease the consumption of meat, governments must target and educate the public on the long-term health risks, such as cardiovascular disease and obesity, which are associated with eating too much animal produce. All right, good. Okay, so Rajveer is saying, by educating individuals about the dangerous health hazards of overeating meats, and limiting the availability of meat products, people can be discouraged from over-consuming animal produce. Very nice, Rajveer. Very synonymous with what I've written here. And that's fantastic. That's how we know that we're on the right path, because we're both thinking about the same logic here. Okay. Rashika says the solution to these problems are authorities spreading word of the negative impact of overconsumption of meat among citizens, and they can reduce the availability of meat products on the market. Very good, Rashika. Yeah, I'm breaking that into 2 sentences, okay? So in addition, authorities by law can force the decreased availability of meat for citizens. Yeah, all right. So again, this time what I'm doing is I'm breaking, because I have 2 points per, so 2 sub-points per each body paragraph. I'm kind of breaking it into 2 components. So I'm going to do that again, just like before. This is what I did in the previous one as well. So I'm going to put that down here, and then I'm going to give an explanation here. So All right. So here we go. If you're not happy with your explanation, because honestly, I'm not that happy with my explanation right now. I might rewrite it later. But here we go. So 1-minute videos that show the cholesterol buildup in arteries of people who eat meat in film and social media. Advertisements can help people better understand their diet patterns and encourage them to change. Okay, it's not bad. It's not ideal. Let's see if somebody have maybe come up with something better. All right. Kuldeep says, however, there are surprising problems which have boomed since a decade ago in many communities due to the poor quality of meat. Therefore, by enacting certain rules for procurement of meat can prevent health problems of people, like digestion problems and cardiovascular disorders. Kuldeep, you have some good ideas, but you're not targeting the idea of solution to decreasing the amount of meat consumed, okay? Make sure you come back to that idea. So keep targeting the controlling ideas of the question, all right? KMA says, increasing public awareness and limiting access to meat products are two affordable solutions that governments can implement to reduce meat overconsumption. I like it. Okay. MA, it's a little bit repetitive with the thesis, so you want to go into a little bit more detail. You don't want to just repeat the thesis. That can be a little bit tricky sometimes. So at times you really have to just stop and think and figure out, how can I go into more details? How can I give a better definition of my thesis point? Okay, because I believe if we go back to the thesis, then see, we write increased awareness of negative health and decreased availability of meat produce. And you're writing increased public awareness and limiting access to meat. You're just paraphrasing, which is okay, but you're not really saying anything more. So really what we want to do is we want to say more. We want to give more detail, okay? So in order to significantly decrease the consumption of meat, government must target and educate the public. So instead of simply saying public awareness, we're saying educate the public on long-term health risks, such as cardiovascular disease and obesity, which are associated with eating much animal produce. 1-minute videos that show the cholesterol buildup in arteries of people who eat meat regularly. In film and social media advertisements can help people better understand their diet patterns and encourage them to change. Okay, so more detail, more depth. All right. And then a personal example, right? So again, we have to keep remembering what this question's asking. So here, the task 2 question says, well, all the way back at the top here, this task 2 question says, include examples and explanations from your own experience. So from my experience. Okay. So, sure. So, and you can, of course, make this up. It doesn't have to be the truth. So you can just come up with something that is very related to this. So I saw a video on Facebook a few months ago which showed the damage of daily meat consumption to the digestive system, and since then I have reduced meat in my diet. Okay. All right. So now I have this second point here. In addition, authorities by law can force the decreased availability of meat for citizens. Regulations can be implemented which limit meat consumption to no more than 3 pounds per person per month. Okay. Now notice that with good explanations and examples, I have quite a bit of writing. Okay. It's no surprise. Let's just do a quick word count here, just out of curiosity, what I actually have here so far. And I bet you it's going to be quite a bit, including my introduction. Yeah. So I have like 350 words here. Okay. So what does that tell me? Because this essay is 250 words minimum, which means you should be writing closer to 300, 350 total. Okay. But what does that tell me? That also tells me that if I have multiple points in my thesis, and this is why it's good to have a clear thesis, because then I know that, okay, whoa, in order to really clearly explain all of this, it's going to take a lot of writing or a lot of editing, okay? Because it's possible to make this shorter, but that's going to take a lot of extra effort and time to make the writing concise and short. Okay, now that's good to practice at home, but keep in mind that if you have a lot of points or a lot of ideas, and you want to clearly explain those ideas, then you're going to write a lot of words. Okay, so you have to be realistic on how many points, how many ideas you can include in your essay. Okay, and this is why it's important to practice at home. Sometimes I see essays from students where they have a lot of points in their essay, but very little explanation. That's not good either. Okay, so if you have a lot of points, like you have a lot of reasons why people eat too much meat, and then you give a lot of solutions for what people can do so that they don't eat so much meat, but you don't really explain it, you don't really give examples. First of all, even though you might get to the word limit, the 250 words, you're not going to have task completion because the task is asking you to give explanations and examples from your own experience. So if you do not have explanations and examples, then it's an incomplete essay. So you really do have to find the right balance of ideas and clear explanations. Is that clear? That's really important. Okay. All right. Rashika says they can produce short films about the negative impacts to spread this concept in society and the positive effects of substituting meats with other vegetables and produce. Okay. Rajveer says also with a few meat outlets, authorities promote alternative food products which encourage individuals to consume more vegetables. Yeah, than meat. You don't need that part. Emmy says, don't we need a topic sentence for the solution paragraph that covers both solutions? Yeah, you can. So, Emmy, good question. Here, I'm separating the, because I have two solutions, I'm kind of separating it into two kind of mini paragraphs that I'm keeping into one paragraph because it's all about solutions. Or you could do it that way, Emmy, where you introduce both solutions in the topic sentence, then you explain both and give examples for both. Those are two different styles. Okay, so you can do one, then the next, or you can do two together, explain together, example together. That might be a way to be a little bit shorter with your words, but it also could be a little bit more confusing than if you separate. Okay, so you have to decide as the author which is the best approach and which one will be clear for your reader. Comprehension is very important, Emmy, so make sure whichever way you choose it, it's easy to comprehend. Okay, so Rajveer says yes, Rudolfo says all right. Okay, so careful with the amount of information. You want ideas, explanations, and examples. Unfortunately, you only have 40 minutes. College, university essays will basically always be longer, even on your exams that are in class, they'll be longer, okay? 250 words is a bit awkward, to be honest with you, because it's very, very short for an essay. There are very, very few situations where you actually only write a 250 word essay. Even grade 12 English exams that are usually 2 to 3 hours long, they're writing usually 500-600 word essays. Okay, so that's why it's a little bit challenging to write a short, clear essay, right? Okay. All right, so I'm not going to write a connecting, concluding sentence here because I have a conclusion coming up, and I'm going to write that right now. I'm just going to write the conclusion nice and fluent. So the conclusion kind of paraphrases my main points, strengthens my argument, and gives a valuable message to the reader. Those are the three elements that you need to include in your conclusion: is restate your points of your essay, paraphrase it so it's not the same words, okay? Strengthen your argument, so tell the reader that, hey, look, I gave you some good ideas here. You should believe me. And then give your reader a valuable piece of information that your reader can take away from the essay, take home with them and say, okay, that was a good use of time. It was good for me to spend 5 minutes to read this person's essay because I learned something valuable. I got something useful. That should always be in the conclusion. It's called the take-home message, okay? So the conclusion should never introduce new ideas, okay? It should always be based on what you already gave to the reader, all right? Yeah, Rajveer says, by separating both points, I think the essays become lengthy. That's right. I agree, Rajveer. They do definitely become longer when you separate the points. Yeah, so that's one way to be more concise, for sure. Emma is saying, is there any advantage for each style? I mean, is one more favorable? Yeah, it's a good question, Emma. The advantage of separating the ideas is that it's often a little bit clearer to the reader. And as Rajveer pointed out, and I said it as well, when you separate them, the disadvantage is that your paragraphs might become longer. In fact, in some cases, you might even separate them into even more paragraphs, right? So disadvantage, it's more wordy. The advantage is it can be clear, more detailed. Okay, and vice versa for the previous, where you're combining the points into one topic sentence, one explanation, one example, is that it's going to be more concise, but it could become a little bit more confusing for the reader as well. Could, not necessarily, but could. Okay, all right, so here we go. All right. So here we go. Just a nice quick conclusion covering those 3 points that I mentioned. In conclusion, meat is eaten too often because of the social norms that have evolved over centuries and people's budgets to pack a full meal. However, governments can dissuade people from this negative diet through public relations and regulation. I definitely think that both individuals and future society are better off with lower portions of meat as part of daily nutrition. Okay? All right. So that sums it up, gives a take-home message to the reader, and that's my essay. Now, it's definitely a little bit lengthy, so ideally I'd want it about 30, 40 words less. And one way to do that, as we discussed just moments ago, is to combine those points in the body paragraphs. Okay? I will post this essay on our website and on our YouTube community board as well. I highly encourage all of you to finish this essay at home. Okay? Yeah, Rudolfo, you can definitely have my email, MA, as well. This is my email here. Please let me know that you're a new member so I can hook you up with your perks, okay? It's adrian@aehelp.com. And I highly, highly encourage both of you to check us out at aehelp.com, glshelp.com. Those are our websites. If you don't have access yet to our premium IELTS course, it's a great way to prepare for your exam at home or on the go. It doesn't cost too much money. It's lifetime access. So, and you get some apps as well with it. So it's a good spending of your money. It's a good investment, I should say, of your funds. I will be back in about half an hour with listening parts 3 and 4, listening practice. This will be a continuation of the exam we started yesterday. So make sure to hang around for that. Really nice work in there today. Rajir, Rashika, Jainil, good interaction as well. You're very welcome. Hopefully I will see all of you in half an hour. That's it for now, but I will be back shortly. Bye.